What have we got at the top there?
So we've got the hot and cold liquor tank. Right hand side one's the hot, left hand's the cold.
Yeah.
And basically with the hot liquor on the right one, we get it to the right temperature. And what we do is we combine that across here in the mash tun. And into the mash tun goes the grain of different types of grains of malted barley that we use. That goes in here and is mixed with the water, hydrated. And it basically goes in there and it'll sit in there for an hour and a half once it's all in there. And basically that's that's extracting the sugars, if you like, out of the malt and the colours and flavours and so on and so on. And basically that's an hour and a half in there. Once it's to this bit, we transfer the wort from this tank into here, which is the copper. And the copper is effectively a large boiler, if you like. And we transfer the wort in there. When it first goes in, we add hops to it to give the beer its bittering. And effectively it'll boil in there for an hour and a half. After an hour and a half, or near the end of the process, the boil process, we add additional hops of different types to create the aromas and flavours within the beer. And that essentially goes in for a set amount of time. Once we've, there are other little tweaks and processes that go on, but that's basically it. It then goes through a cooling process. The cold liquor tank I mentioned earlier, up the top, that will effectively come down through this heat exchanger, and that cools the beer. And at the same time as it's cooling the beer, obviously the cold liquor becomes hot liquor being water. And the hot then goes back up to the hot tank. So we're actually being quite ecologically sensible.
Generating.
So we're generating, taking the cold and turn that into hot, and it cools the beer. The
Fantastic.
beer then, or the wort, then goes through into the fermenters.
Which are through here.
In the next room. And that effectively goes in there, and we then add yeast to the fermenters, and the fermentation starts.
Right, okay.
About a week. About 4.
That's the slow bit of the process then, because I was thinking up until now we've done pretty well on an hour and a half and an hour and a half. Okay,
well,
so
it's a long day and it's a full day to do your brewing. But
I was going to say, how long would it take to make a mash if you were not using high-tech equipment, if you were just going for the...
when we do this, we'll spend, it'll be a good long day, and I guess it's a good 12 hours we'll spend going through the whole process.
Yeah.
Because the transfer times, I mean, you've got 90 minutes. You've obviously got to get your mash in.
Yeah.
But you've got 90 minutes of it sitting there, so an hour and a half there. You've got an hour and a half boil, that's 3 hours.
Yeah, of course.
You've also got to transfer from here to there.
And this all has to have in one go as well.
It does,
you can't.
And obviously what you're doing also, you do something called sparging, which is rinsing the malt to get the maximum amount of extract out. So it's just basically an arm that turns around and kind of showers the malt, taking the wort through into the copper. Because obviously, if you look at the two vessels, that one's a lot bigger than that one.
Yeah.
So essentially, the sparging will get you the correct amount of wort, if you like, that you're going to boil, and then you're adding your hops, as I say, at different stages, and then you're through into the fermenters. Once you've got into your fermenters and you've pitched your yeast, then you're up in, you're really there, and you're ready. Just let it get on and do its job.
So there's various opportunities in the process there to decide the flavour or the style of the beer.
Well, yeah, you kind of decided what you're actually trying to achieve, obviously, well before you even put a
when you choose what grains you're going to be.
Yeah.
Okay.
And, the different hops, the different malted barley.
Yeah.
So you kind of decided what you're trying to create. The idea is that we end up with the right result. One of the most pleasing things that I like, actually, is when we're in fermentation in day 1, day 2, the aromas that come off those fermenters is just phenomenal.
I bet, yeah.
You need smell-o-vision.
Yeah,
it's just fantastic. I love it, as it's obviously fermenting. But once we're finished fermenting, we then go through a couple of processes just to clear the beer and to get it so that the yeast drops out of suspension.
Okay.
And then we're into the casks.
Okay.
And then we rack into the casks, which you see here, and the casks will then be allowed to condition for 2 weeks. We won't send any beer out unless the beer is conditioned for the full 2 weeks.
Okay.
Because it allows the bitterness to mellow, and also for the other flavours all to really start to happen within the cask, and it starts to condition within the cask. So after 2 weeks, it's ready to go out.
Superb.
So that's a very, very brief summary of the brewing process.
Oh,
Right?
well, that's good for me. It's easier to understand the intricacies, but no, fantastic. Cheers.